Hello and hello and hello. This is Kemp Blaylock with SDG Replays, coming to you this morning as I continue my play with the Pocket Pennant Run baseball simulation game. And I am going to be continued in my 28 game, 8-team season. We are now into the 10th game in this 28 game set. And we're going to be featuring today the 1975 Boston Red Sox, who are currently at 6-3, against the 1969 New York Mets, who are at 3-6. On the mound for the Red Sox will be Rick Wise, who so far is pitching a pretty good clip. He's at a 2.25 ERA. He will be facing on the mound for the New York Mets, Gary Gentry, who is also at 2.25 in his ERA. Both of them pitching fairly well, and there will be a good matchup today as both are right-handers, and they will be going up against each other with pretty good. Well, the Mets is not as stellar. The lineup for the Red Sox, you get a stretch there when you have some very serious hitting, especially from the power column with Freddie Lynn and Jim Rice and others. It gets pretty challenging for the pitchers. So that's going to be our matchup from today. It's going to be in New York Shea Stadium. Join me as we play. We find ourselves in Shea Stadium in New York, where the 69 New York Mets, the Miracle Mets, will be facing off against the visiting 1975 Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox find themselves at 6-3 as we're getting ready to play the 10th game in our 28 game season, featuring 8 teams from history. So they're at 6-3. The Mets are on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're at 3-6, as they're hoping to get some wins together to put themselves into the thick of things. At the top of the league is the 7-2 1972 Oakland Athletics. So they're trailing pretty heavily right now, and they need to get things going. Today, on the mound for both teams for the visiting Boston Red Sox will be Rick Wise, who currently is at a 2.25 ERA, matched up against Gary Gentry, who is also at 2.25 in his ERA. Wise is a C-rated pitcher with A control and D defense, and he can go 7 innings. Gentry also can go 7 innings, but he's a B-rated pitcher with B control and A defense. So I think there'll be a pretty evenly matched pairing. I think the C-rated pitcher with A control kind of balances out with a B-rated pitcher with B control. So we'll get into this game. 75 Boston Red Sox against the 69 New York Mets. Let's get into our batting orders and our lineups. For the Boston Red Sox, leading off is Juan Beniquez in right field. Batting second is Rick Burleson at short. Batting third is Carl Yastrzemski at first base. In left field, batting fourth is Jim Rice. Batting in the fifth spot is Fred Lynn in center field. Batting in the sixth spot is Rico Petrocelli at third. Batting in the seventh spot is Doug Griffin playing second base. In the eighth spot and catching, Bob Montgomery. And your pitcher again is Rick Wise, batting in the ninth spot. For the homestanding New York Mets, leading off, Tommy Agee in center field. Batting second in left field, Cleon Jones. Batting third in right field, Ron Swoboda. Batting in your cleanup spot in the fourth spot is Don Clendenin playing first base. Batting in the 5th spot at third base, Ed Charles. Batting in the 6th spot, the 5th spot, Ed Charles at third base. Batting in the 6th spot at second base, Al Weiss. Batting in the 6th spot is Al Weiss at second base. And then in the 7th spot, J.C. Martin catching. The 8th spot would be Wayne Garrett at shortstop. And then, of course, your pitcher, Gary Gentry, in the 9th spot. And that's going to be our lineups. And let's get into this game. Let me change our view to everyone out here. As you can see, we have everything you need to see to play this game. So let's get into it. Leading off, Juan Beniquez. Beniquez is a B-rated batter with B power and B speed. He will be a C-rated batter against Gentry. Gentry, the righty, goes into his windup. And here's the pitch to start our game. It's a line drive. I'm going with the 12. A roll of 1 or 12 changes line drives to pop up just to give some variety in the game. So that's going to be a pop-up to Clendenin at first. Easy play for Clendenin for out number 1 on the P3 putout. For out number 1, that'll bring up Rick Burleson. Burleson is a C-rated batter with C power and B speed. That will drop to a D against Gentry. Burleson steps into the batter's box as Gentry goes into his windup and the pitch. Be control check on Gentry. That B4 will strike him out as Burleson goes down swinging for out number 2. Now to bring up Carl Yastrzemski. The lefty Yastrzemski will remain a B batter with B power against the right-handed Gentry. Pitch from Gentry. We'll go to the batter's card. It's a ground ball to second. Weiss up with it. Over to first. 3 up, 3 down here in the top of the first on the 4-3 putout. Now we go to the bottom of the first. Scoreless here and hitless as Rick Wise is now on the mound. Wise is a C-rated pitcher with A control. Tommy Agee stepping to the plate. Agee is a B-rated batter with A power. That will drop to a C against Wise as Wise into his windup and the pitch. Control check on Wise, and he strikes him out. He gets Agee swinging as he threw an off-speed pitch, and Agee swinging well in front of it for out number 1. And that'll bring up Cleon Jones. Cleon Jones, the left fielder, is an A-rated batter with B power. That A will drop to a B against Wise as Wise toes the rubber. A. Jones steps in. Here's the pitch. Ground ball to first. Yastrzemski makes the play, flips to Wise, covering the bag for the 3-1 putout. And out number 2. That'll bring up Ron Swoboda. Right fielder Swoboda is a C-rated batter with B power. That C rating will drop to D against Wise. Here is the pitch. It's a defensive check on the center fielder, Freddie Lynn. Is a B-rated defender. He will make the play. Breaks well on the fly ball, hit into center field. Settles underneath it for out number 3, and 3 up and 3 down here in the bottom of the first. As we go to the second, scoreless here in New York. Now to bring up Jim Rice. Rice is an A-rated batter with A power. That A rating will drop to a B against Gentry. As Gentry goes into his windup, Rice digs in. Here's the pitch. That will go to Rice's card. Ground ball to first. Don Clendenin fields it, tosses it to Gentry, covering as he covers the bag for a 3-1 put out. And out number 1. Now to bring up Freddie Lynn. Lynn, the lefty, is an A-rated batter with A power, so he will remain an A against the right-handed Gentry. Here is the pitch to Lynn. It's a defensive check on the shortstop, Garrett. Garrett's defense is a C. He makes the play, fields the hot grounder, takes an odd hop, but he's on top of it, fires it over to first for the 6-3 put out. And out number 2, and that'll bring up Rico Petrocelli. Petrocelli is a C-rated batter with C power. That C rating will drop to a D. Here's the pitch. And he strikes him out. Petrocelli takes a high heater and doesn't even turn on it as it blows by him for out number 3. And we go to the bottom of the second. Still scoreless here in New York as Don Clendenin steps in. Clendenin is a B-rated batter with B power that will drop to a C as Clendenin steps in wise into his windup and a pitch. It's going to be a defensive check on the right fielder Beniquez. That roll of 1 in the blue means that's an automatic out. Don't even have to look as Beniquez makes the play easily for the F9 put out. Now to bring up Ed Charles. C-rated batter with B power will drop to a D as Wise staring at Charles. He goes into his windup and the pitch. And that's a control check, and he strikes him out. Another strikeout for Wise as he strikes out Charles. That'll be the second strikeout for Rick Wise as Al Weiss steps in. Weiss is a switch hitter, so his C rating will remain. C-rated batter with C power. Here's the pitch from Wise. It's going to be a defensive check on the left fielder Rice. Again, a roll of 1. And Rice will make that play easily for the F7 put out. And out number 3. And we go to the third. Still scoreless here in New York. And not a hit to be seen so far in this game, as it's a bunch of goose eggs on the board. And that's going to bring Doug Griffin to the plate. Griffin, the right-hander, is C-rated, so that'll drop to a D. So he's D batter with D power. Here's the pitch to Griffin. Control check, and he strikes out Griffin. Griffin goes down swinging for out number 1. That'll bring up Bob Montgomery. Montgomery also will be a D-rated batter against the righty with B power. Here's the pitch from Gentry. It's a line drive, hit to short. Wayne Garrett makes the play on the line drive for the L6 putout. And out number 2. Now to bring up your pitcher, Rick Wise. D hitting Wise with D power. Here's the pitch to Wise. And that D10 in the batter's column is a single by Wise, who bloops one in to left field, drops in front of Cleon Jones as Jones can't get to it. Just one of those balls that just seems to find a hole to drop into. So we got our first hit and first runner, and it happens to be the pitcher. Who would have thunk it? That brings up Juan Beniquez, batting from the C rating. Here is the pitch to Beniquez. And he strikes him out for out number 3, and that'll end our inning. We have 1 hit, 1 left on, and we go to the bottom of the 3rd, still scoreless here in New York. And J.C. Martin stepping to the plate. Martin will be C rated with C power against Wise. Here's the pitch to Martin. Let's go into the batter's card. Ground ball to short. Rick Burleson up with it, over to first for out number 1. That brings up Wayne Garrett. The left-handed Garrett will remain a C-rated batter with C power. Rick Wise into his windup. Goes to the batter's card. Fly ball, center field. Freddie Lynn settles underneath it. Can of corn for out number 2. That'll bring up Gary Gentry, see if he can match his counterpart. As Wise looks to Gentry into his windup and the pitch. And it's a fly ball into right field. Not hit very deep. Beniquez makes the play easily for out number 3 on the F9 putout. And we go to the 4th, still scoreless here in New York. And Gary Gentry pitching well, as is Rick Wise. Rick Burleson stepping to the plate. Burleson, his first time up, struck out. Here's the pitch from Gentry. Now this looks like bad news for Gentry, as he leaves one up and hanging. Rick Burleson, who is a D-rated batter against the righty. That D11, though, will be a single by Burleson as he hits one sharply into left field for a leadoff single from Burleson. That brings up Carl Yastrzemski with a runner on. Here's the pitch from Gentry. And he has left another one up and hanging. Gentry, that B8, goes to the batter's card. Yastrzemski's, that B11, goes to his power column, and that B12 is what we know as automatic. Carl Yastrzemski has taken that offering and placed it in the right field seats. Home run, Carl Yastrzemski. So we got some runs across here in the 4th as Yastrzemski takes one into the seats for a 2-0 Boston lead over the 69 Mets. Now to bring up Jim Rice. The B-rated Rice with A power, as Gentry shaking his head. He goes into his windup and the pitch. This time He gets Rice swinging. It strikes out Rice as he takes that home run out on Rice for out number 1. That'll bring up Freddie Lynn. The A-rated Lynn with A powers, dangerous as well. As the pitch comes, Lynn digs in, and that B9 in the control, he will walk Freddie Lynn. Lynn takes the free pass down to first for a 1-out walk as Lynn is on. Lynn takes a big lead off of first as Gentry goes into his windup. Lynn breaks for second, and his speed is B-rated. That B4 is, I think, going to be trouble for him. Yeah, he is gunned down. J.C. Martin comes up firing, and Lynn is tagged out at second. Caught stealing for out number 2. And that'll bring up Rico Petrocelli. Petrocelli, D-rated against Gentry. Petrocelli, his first time up, struck out. As Gentry goes into the windup, here is the pitch. Again, control check, and he will walk Petrocelli. Gentry having a little bit of trouble with his control. As Petrocelli is now on first with the free pass. Does not run well, so he will not be attempting anything on the base path. As Doug Griffin comes to the plate, batting from the D rating. Here's the pitch from Gentry. That D10 is a single by Griffin, who hits a ground ball past Weiss at second. Moves Petrocelli over to second. So with 2 outs, we have 2 runners on, and Bob Montgomery stepping to the plate. Montgomery will be hitting from the D rating against Gentry. Gentry, with 2 on, wants to get out of this inning without any further damage. Here is the pitch. And he leaves one for Montgomery to hit. But Montgomery just grounds it sharply to second. Weiss makes the play easily, tosses it over to Clendenin for the 4-3 putout. And we will now go to the bottom of the 4th, but not after 2 runs come across on the home run. And who hit that home run? Oh, who was it? Oh, let me look. Why do I have a poor memory? Well, we'll look at it later. It wasn't Lynn. Was it Jim Rice? Well, we'll see later. Tommy Dagey coming to the plate for the Mets as they trail 2-0 here in the bottom of the 4th. Rick Wise on the mound. Agee batting from the C rating. Here is the pitch. And the A rating, he will strike him out for out number 1. Here we go. 1 out. Cleon Jones stepping to the plate. Well, the Red Sox up 2-0. After the 2 come across in the top of the 4th, we're at the bottom of the 4th. Rick Wise pitching well as Cleon Jones comes to the plate. Batting from the B rating. He will get to swing away. Ground ball to second. Griffin up with it over to first for the 4-3 putout. And out number 2. Now to bring up Ron Swoboda. Swoboda batting from the D rating. Swoboda, his first time up, flew out to center field. Ron Swoboda. Fun name to say, Swoboda. Here's the pitch. And he will strike him out. Another strikeout for Wise. For out number 3. And we go now to the 5th with Boston up 2-0 as the pitcher Wise steps to the plate. He'll just swing away against Gentry. Here is the pitch from Gentry. And Rick Wise gets another one to hit. It goes to his power column. Rick Wise, of course, has D power, but as a roll of 8, that may be a problem for Gentry. And Wise is hit a double to the wall in left center field between Jones and Agee. Rick Wise raking the ball. He's safely on second as Gary Gentry is having trouble against Wise as Beniquez now steps to the plate. Batting from the C rating, here's the pitch to Beniquez. That'll be a ground ball to short. Garrett up with it. Slow roller allows Wise to make it over to third as he fires it over to first to get Beniquez by a step for the 6-3 putout, but not after it moves Wise over. And Rick Burleson now stepping to the plate. Burleson batting from the D rating. Gentry with the pitch. Defensive check on the center fielder, Agee. Agee's defensive rating is a B. That low roll of 2, I don't think Wise will be going anywhere, so it was not hit deep enough. Shallow fly ball into center field. Wise will stay on third. F8 put out for out number 2. And that'll bring up Carl Yastrzemski. Yastrzemski on the day. It was Yastrzemski that hit the home run. How could I forget that? He homered, drove in 2 his last time up. Yastrzemski batting from the B rating. Here is the pitch. Again, that's a defensive check on the left fielder, Jones, Cleon Jones, who has A-rated defense. Excellent defensive player in left field. Makes a good break on the ball, settles underneath it, and we have a runner left stranded with the F7 put out. And we go to the bottom of the 5th with Boston still up 2-0. And Rick Wise pitching well. That'll bring up Don Clendenin. Clendenin, batting from the C rating. Flew out to right field his first time up. Here's the pitch to Clendenin. Clendenin will swing away. Grounds it to third. Petrocelli scoops it up. Fires it over to first for out number 1. That'll bring up Ed Charles. Charles will be batting from the D rating against Wise. Charles, his first time out, went down on a K. Here's the pitch to Charles. That'll be control check. And he strikes out Charles once again on that roll of 6 for out number 2. And that'll bring up Al Weiss. Weiss batting from the C rating. Weiss, his first time up, flew out to left field. Here's the pitch from Weiss. This time, Weiss will get to swing away Fly ball into center field. Freddie Lynn waving off Beniquez as he drifts toward the left fielder. Settles underneath it. For out number 3. And we go to the 6th now, with Boston still up 2-0 as Gary Gentry staring down Jim Rice. Rice will be batting from the B rating with a power. Rice, his first time out, grounded out to first and struck out his last time up. Here is the pitch to Rice. It's a defensive check on the left fielder, Jones. The A-rated Jones breaks well on the ball, settles underneath it. Out number 1. That'll bring up Freddie Lynn, the A-rated Lynn, against Gary Gentry. Lynn reached on a walk his last time up, is hitless on the day. Here is the pitch. He does get one to hit, but he just grounds it to Garrett at short. Garrett up with it over to first. Out number 2. That'll bring up Rico Petrocelli. Rico. And Rico is batting from the D rating as Gentry goes into the windup. Petrocelli digging in. That's going to be a defensive check on the shortstop, Garrett. Garrett, I will announce his rating as a C, but that roll of 1, he will make the play easily, as it's an easy ground ball, routine over to first for out number 3. And now we go to the bottom of the 6th with Boston still up 2-0 as J.C. Martin steps in, batting from the C rating. Wise with the pitch. It's going to be a defensive check on the right fielder, Beniquez. Beniquez is an A-rated defender. Breaks on that easily. That roll of 4 is an easy read for me, as it's played easily by Beniquez. Canicorn, F9. Out number 1. That'll bring up Wayne Garrett. Garrett will be batting from the C rating. As I get a sip of coffee, here's the pitch to Garrett. Control check. Wise has A control. What kind of runner is Garrett? It's a drop K, so we're going to roll to see if Garrett is safe. And he is. So it's going to be an E2 as Montgomery cannot handle the pitch from Wise, as Garrett swings away and misses, but he beats out the throw from Montgomery. So we have our first runner on for the Mets on an error by the catcher, Montgomery. And that'll bring up Gary Gentry. And Gentry is going to be squaring the bunt. And, you know, I know I've got a no-hitter going, but it doesn't make sense for Gentry to be swinging away. So, hate to break up a no-hitter on a bunt, but maybe it won't. We'll see. Lays down the bunt. And it is successful, as the catcher Montgomery is able to pounce on it, but his only play is to first. So the no-hitter's still in play, but we have a runner now on second with 2 outs. And Tommy Agee stepping to the plate, batting from the C rating. Runner in scoring position. Here is the pitch to Agee. And Agee will get to swing away. But it's just a routine fly ball into left field. Rice settles underneath it for the F7 put out. And we are still in a 2-0 lead by the Boston Red Sox as we go into the 7th. This will be both pitchers' last inning before they fatigue. So Gentry facing Griffin. Griffin batting from the D rating. Here's a pitch from Gentry. It's a control check for Gentry. That B7 into control is another dropped third strike. And he takes off. Martin up with it. And he is safe. Both catchers with butter fingers allow another runner on first. Doug Griffin will not be attempting to run. He's very slow as Bob Montgomery now steps to the plate. Here's the pitch to Montgomery, the batting from the D rating. That D3. Ground ball to third. Charles up with it. Fires it over to second. Weiss on the pivot. Fires to first. And they get the 5-4-3 double play to clear the base pass. And Rick Wise coming to the plate. Wise on the day hitting is 2 for 2 with a single and a double. Let's see if he can keep that up as Gentry into the windup. Defensive check on the right fielder. Not this time. Shallow fly ball hit into right field. Ron Swoboda underneath it for out number 3. And we now go to the bottom of the 7th with Boston still up 2-0. And Rick Wise pitching a gem so far as he's got a no-hitter going into the bottom of the 7th. And I probably just now jinxed him. Cleon Jones stepping to the plate. Jones will be batting from the B rating. Jones on the day is grounded out both times. Here's the pitch to Jones. And he goes to Jones' power columns, which is a B, but that low roll of 2 may not be of any good as he does hit it deep. He hits it deep into center field, but Lynn back to the warning track. Not deep enough as he got one to hit, but it did not pay off for the long fly ball out as Ron Swoboda now steps to the plate. Batting from the D rating. Here's the pitch to Swoboda. It's going to be a defensive check on the first baseman, Yastrzemski. Yastrzemski's A-rated defense. Fills the short hopper. Waves off Wise. And just steps on the bag for the 3 unassisted. For out number 2. Now bring up Don Clendenin. Clendenin batting from the C rating. We know he's hitless on the day because there's been no hits by the Mets. So here's the pitch to Clendenin. And Clendenin grounds it to short. Burleson up with it. Over to first for the 6-3 put out. And out number 3. And we go to the 8th with the Red Sox still leading 2-0. Gary Gentry Now a C-rated pitcher as Beniquez steps to the plate. C on C. Here's the pitch to Beniquez. Beniquez. Ground ball to short. Wayne Garrett up with it. Over to first. 6-3 put out. Out number 1. And Rick Burleson stepping up. Burleson on the day is 1 for 3 with a single. Burleson digging in. Gentry into the windup. Burleson batting from the D rating. Here's the pitch. And look at those high numbers in that blue 12 Burleson. I don't know if D11 is power though. And it is not. It is a single by Burleson, who hits it off the wall into left field, but Jones gets it, plays it so well off the wall, he gets it back to second. And Burleson is held to a 1-out single. That'll bring Carl Yastrzemski back to the plate. Yastrzemski has accounted for our runs today with his home run, driving in himself and another for 2 runs. As Yastrzemski steps in, here's the pitch. And Yastrzemski batting from the B rating. Grounds it to Clendenin. Slow roller to first. Burleson is able to break for second and safely on second as Yastrzemski moves Burleson over. Jim Rice steps up, batting from the B rating. Rice on the day has not had a good day. He's 0 for 3. Here's the pitch to Rice. He gets to swing away. Fly ball, right field. Ron Swoboda. Easy play. Can of corn for out number 3. Now this is where there's a lot of debate in this game. Wise has taken a no-hitter into the bottom of the 8th, but his rating now drops to a D. I've been consistent in this, and he's gonna make that drop to D. So we'll just see how it folds. I'm not going to keep him at a C. As Ed Charles steps in, batting from the D rating. Here's the pitch to Charles. Defensive check. On the first baseman, Yastrzemski, the good fielding Yastrzemski, makes the play. Steps on the bag for the 3 unassisted for out number 1. That'll bring up Al Wise, switch hitting Wise. Well, no, he's not a switch hitter. Batting from the D rating. Here is the pitch. Defensive check once again. This time on the right fielder Beniquez. That A9, he has to make a sharp break on the ball as he's racing toward the right field line, but in time for the F9 put out. And out number 2. That'll bring up J.C. Martin. Batting from the C rating. Martin against Wise. Here's the pitch. Another defensive check, this time on the pitcher, Wise, who's, let me take a look at Wise, a D defender. Oh boy. And that will be an error, 1 base error on Wise. So yet to allow a hit, but this time he lets a batter on as he cannot make the play on the mound, and that puts J.C. Martin on first with Wayne Garrett stepping to the plate. And the C rating for Garrett as Wise goes into the windup. Oh boy. I think our no-hitter just went out the window, as that D9 does go to the batter card. Wayne Garrett, who is the lefty with C power. We know that 12 is going to be the power column. And that C9 is a double, but it clears the bases. So there goes the no-hitter, and there goes the shutout, as Martin will slide safely in. Now we got a 2-1 game, and the no-hitter out the window here in the bottom of the 8th. And Gary Gentry is stepping to the plate. He's going to be pinch hit for. And who's the lefty to bring in? Should it be Shamsky? Yeah, he'll come in. He's an A rated. Shamsky comes in, but Boston in turn are going to pull Wise. And are going to bring in Moret. Moret. Shamsky will drop to a B now. Moret. B rated with C control. Shamsky steps in. Here is the pitch. It will go to the batter's card. Shamsky again. That B11 will go to the power column. Shamsky has B power. That B8 may be trouble for Roger Moret, as he's come in and offered up one to hit. And that's a double by Shamsky, and we have a tie game here now in the bottom of the 8th. It's 2-2 as Moret has come in and just yacked up the save as Tommy Agee now steps to the plate. Agee, B rated with A power, as Shamsky will be running on contact. Here's the pitch. This time Moret with a good pitch. Again, Moret. That B2, that'll be a control check though. And he walks him. Not a good pitch. As now we have 2 runners on with 2 outs. And Cleon Jones stepping to the plate. Jones batting from the A rating. Moret into the windup and the pitch. And Cleon Jones with B power. That yellow 12 goes to his power column. B4 into power. And that's a double by Jones. Double, 2 bases. So that's going to score Shamsky. And now the Mets have took a 3-2 to lead here in the bottom of the 8th, as the lead has been thrown out the window by Roger Moret, and his rating now drops to a C, as he's allowed 3 runs. Ron Swoboda stepping to the plate. We're going to leave Moret in to see if he can get this last out. C-rated Swoboda. Here is the pitch. And Swoboda will get to swing away. That C10 is a single. And it will score both Jones and Agee. That's a single plus. And Roger Moret has come in and just blown this game, and he's coming out. What a miserable job by Roger Moret. Going to bring in Burton. He's our best relief pitcher at this point, even though he's a lefty against a righty. Clendenin stepping back in. There's 5 runs have come across here in the bottom of the 8th. As Don Clendenin steps in, batting from the B rating. Here is the pitch. And it's just high number after high number. That B11 is his power column. Clendenin with B power. That B3 is a fly ball hit deeply into right field. Beniquez back to the warning track, but that will be out number 3. Now we go to the 9th with the Mets up 5-2. What a change of events here in the 8th. 1 second. I am sure Rick Wise has wondered what in the world has happened. Took a no-hitter into the 8th, and now it's going to be a no decision for me. Who do I want to bring in for the Mets to close this game out? Let's bring in the Tug McGraw, to face Lynn and the rest of the lineup. McGraw is A rated with B control. Lynn will drop to a B rating against McGraw. Here's the pitch. Lynn will get to swing away. Fly ball into center field. Tommy Agee underneath it. Out number 1. And Boston, who had the lead into the 8th, are now looking at the L with 2 more outs, and it'll be a Mets win in an unsuspected turn of events in the 8th inning. As Rico Petrocelli steps in, batting from the C rating. Petrocelli on the day is hitless. He did reach on a walk his second time up. Here's the pitch. Tug McGraw at A8. We'll go to the batter. Petrocelli again. That C10 will be a single by Petrocelli, hoping to get something going here in the 9th. Reaches as he hits a hot ground ball into left field. That'll bring up Doug Griffin. Petrocelli takes a slight lead as Griffin digs in. Batting from the C rating. Here's the pitch to Griffin. Griffin will get to hit it. Ground ball to second. Weiss up with it. Flips it to Garrett. Garrett fires it over to Clendenin at first for the 4-6-3 rally killing, soul-crushing, game-ending 4-6-3 double play. And that is our game, folks. Man, what a turn of events in the eighth. You had Rick Wise taking a no-hitter into the eighth. And then it all is falling apart as he allowed a run across. I pulled him thinking he's derated. Roger Moret can't possibly blow this, and he did, allowing 5 runs to come across in the bottom of the eighth, and really throwing up all over himself. I don't know how any other way to put it, but it turns out we have a home-standing New York Mets win as they take a 5-2 win over the Boston Red Sox, scoring 5 runs in the bottom of the eighth. Take this win over the Boston Red Sox. I hope you enjoyed this game, and that will be all here from New York.